Hello, Cleveland, and welcome back to another edition of the Dogland Podcast. I am your host, Jackson McCurry, and rolling with me, as usual, is my co-host, Anthony Jokey. Anthony, before we get into the crux of this episode, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing good. It was a long day at work, but home now, relaxing, and certainly about to dive into this giant mess that seems to be going through Berea, which is unfortunate again.
Yeah, it is unfortunate. It's unfortunately this might be the way December's and January's might be, at least for a couple years until this, virus, pandemic, whatever you guys want to call it now, gets completely under control. But like Anthony said, COVID-19 has hit the Browns again. It started last week when David Njoku, Jamie Gillen, and Anthony Walker all tested positive, ended up on the COVID-19 list. And then between Tuesday and Wednesday, it hit the team like a freaking sinking ship. Like, okay, let's just say the Browns were the Titanic and they just hit the iceberg and now it's like code red majorly. Within the last day, I think it's 14 players and two coaches, including our head coach Kevin Stefanski, have all tested positive and landed on this list. The list is a long one, so bear with me, guys, as I go through it all. Baker Mayfield, obviously the starting quarterback, Drew Forbes, Austin Hooper, Jarvis Landry, Tack McKinley, Wyatt Teller, Jedrick Wills, um, Troy Hill, John Johnson III, Malik McDowell, and Ifadi Odenigbo, the defensive end. And then we also got JoJo Danson, Ross Travis, and Nate Meters off the practice squad. So, Anthony, all in all, I think there's 17, 18 players, and our head coach and running back coach Ryan Cordell, who's actually the interim coach for Stump Mitchell, who's out with a medical leave. So practically a third of the roster is on the COVID list right now, and now the fan base is freaking out. The team is somewhat scrambling, although they have a plan in place, but it just seems like things were going so well coming off the win. Everybody's talking playoffs again, and now doom and gloom has returned in a very unfortunate way.
Yeah, we enjoyed that win on Sunday for what, 24 hours, maybe,
Yeah,
maybe,
pretty
maybe
much.
30, maybe 36. Uh, but man, it's so unfortunate, and it's one thing if it's a handful of guys like it was last week with Njoku and Gillen. You could kind of plan things, and uh, you know they ended up winning on Sunday. But when you are missing your quarterback, offensive lineman, uh, your tight ends, the back end of your defense, I mean, at some point you just kind of have to like, well, pretty much they're going to be given no chance to win on Saturday, which may work out in their benefit because of how well they play when they're in those underdog situations. But um, it's going to be extremely difficult, and you hope that this is the end of it. Um, the chances are that it's probably not. Um, and the more frustrating thing is that I would imagine, not having, everybody's records in front of me, but I would imagine that most of these players are vaccinated. Um, and that's what makes it even more frustrating. You have all these vaccinations, but you still get all these positive tests, and it just completely destroys, um, decimates your football team. And you have a third of your roster pretty much on the COVID list. And, I know there's talk of, or at least not among the NFL, but among others, should this game get pushed back since it's being played on Saturday? Can they push it back to Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday? You have to wonder like how much that would really help. The Browns are scheduled to play the following Saturday on Christmas against the Packers. Um, you have to wonder what kind of solution may come out. But with the owners meeting today with the NFL and everything, there really wasn't any talk about it. So I, it's just really unfortunate. And we're not the only team that it's happening to right now. It's happening to a couple other teams as well. But you just kind of got to roll with it, unfortunately. You hope that you can field enough players on Saturday. But I don't know what other solution there is. I don't think they're going to postpone it or delay it by a couple days. You just got to give it your best shot and somehow maybe miraculously come out with a win.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely unfortunate. People were saying they got to postpone this game. They got to move the game back. The league, I don't think is going to do that. Like you said, they're meeting. The owners are meeting today. They're actually, it was, lo and behold, it was owners meeting down in Dallas, I believe. So they are meeting. They are negotiating with the players union a way to um, simplify the COVID, or not simplify, minimize the COVID protocols right now, to where if they are asymptomatic, they can get back with the team quicker, because I think it was Pro Football Talk had said there's no evidence that says that this virus is being transmitted on the field. So there should be no reason why the asymptomatic people should have to sit out 10 days, like the people that are symptomatic are. So it's going to be interesting to see how that shakes out. It sounds like they're getting close to a deal. You mentioned about the vaccination status, which, it doesn't matter if they're vaccinated or not, but Aditi Kinklerbala of NFL Network did say that her information gathering is that only one player on the roster isn't vaccinated. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, it's John Johnson. The OBR actually reported during the day Wednesday that he actually is vaccinated. I know there was talk over the summer that he wasn't getting vaccinated. He did get vaccinated. So whoever that player is, it's still a mystery, and they had that right to do it. People talking about, well, they should postpone the game because they did it for the Ravens and the Steelers matchup last year. Last year was completely different. There was no vaccines, and the Ravens had over 20 players with COVID that had COVID-19, and their facility was shut down for like a week. So circumstances were definitely different. Looking back, or fast forwarding to now, because people are vaccinated and the facility hasn't been shut down, they're just still doing everything virtually, and they're still having walkthroughs by offense, defense, and special teams individually. They're not all together. Not all 60 plus players are out there. So circumstances are different. If it gets worse, I could see them postponing the game. But I think they changed the rules, Anthony, and I think now I don't think they can postpone it. I think if the Browns don't have enough players to go, I think they have to forfeit, which is going to really irate the fan base because we are in the middle of a playoff hunt. But I think that's the rules, unless the NFL is going to give some leeway.
From what I understand, that was if an outbreak was caused by unvaccinated players.
Okay.
So with everybody except maybe one being vaccinated, I would think there would be a different solution on the table. The only thing I could see them doing is, there's not an extra week right between the regular season and the wild card, so
nope.
They would have to like push back the entire schedule if they wanted to postpone it. I mean, the absolute latest they could probably play is Tuesday, would be my guess. Because the Browns do play on Saturday, or are scheduled to play on Saturday, it'd be like playing Sunday and then playing a Thursday night game. Granted, that game could always be pushed back too, because it is on Saturday. You kind of have a couple days they could play with there if they wanted to push it back. But if it gets worse over the next couple days, I don't know what's going to happen, because this really isn't. This doesn't have a precedent at the moment. So it would be very interesting to see. I wonder if they could just rule the game like a no contest. I don't know if that would be a fair thing to do. Just have it be the Raiders and the Browns will only play 16 games a season, and it doesn't count either way. It almost kind of be like a tie, I guess. That would be like the best case scenario. Obviously a forfeit would be the worst case.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're gonna do. It's just there's no precedent for it, and you hope they can get out there to play. But if they do get out there to play, you have to wonder what this team could really do with missing so many people. If they're able to, pass these things that they're talking about, maybe you can get a few players back. Maybe you can get a few players back, but it's just it's kind of a wait and see mode, I guess, over the next 24 to 48 hours to see what really goes down, because I expect there to be more to come out of this, especially with a huge chunk of players testing positive over the last couple of days. I certainly see more coming. So I it's going to get worse before it gets better, I think.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not just the Browns. Like you mentioned, there's 7 teams right now in extensive protocols, which is nearly a fourth of the league. Monday they had, I think it was 37 positives across the league, which was the most in one day since the start of this, going back to last year. And then they had 25 more yesterday, and I think they had another 20 plus today. So it's not happening just with the Browns, unfortunately. It just seems like because we are in Northeast Ohio, our sole attention is focused on the Browns, and it's hitting them in a major way with several key starters on both sides of the ball. But yeah, I don't know what's going to happen. Like you, I would expect more potentially on Thursday. We don't know exactly how it's going to hit. The only player really safe at this point is Nick Chubb, because he just got off it a couple weeks ago. David Njoku is still technically on the list, but he had posted on Instagram that he's back in the facility. So I would imagine Thursday morning, when they make the roster moves, that he'll be activated off the COVID-19 list. So he'll be back. And then other than that, I don't know who else is safe, because Kevin Stefanski, which we'll get to what the plan's going to be going forward. He had it last year during the playoff game against Pittsburgh, was vaccinated, boosted, and then he's gotten it again. So this is, some guys, everybody thinks, well, if you've had it once and you're vaccinated and you're boosted, you're safe. That's not true, because Kevin Stefanski has it. Jamie Gillen, I believe, had it last summer during 2020. He was like the first Browns player to get it. So he's gotten it twice. So nobody's safe at this point. So we got to keep our fingers crossed that this is the major wave of it through the Browns facility, and we don't lose any more players. And if we do, then there's going to be serious discussions about postponing this game, or if it has to be. It doesn't sound like the forfeit thing's on the table, the way you were talking about it, if it was because of an unvaccinated player. And Commissioner Goodell's actually speaking right now, and he said there's been no discussion about moving the game. So I would think, and maybe tomorrow there'll be more clarity if there's more positives, if not. But we're in a sticky situation right now, just because, like you said, it's unknown, because we haven't had it this bad. Last year, there was the Jets game when the wide receiver room got depleted because of COVID, and then during the playoff game we lost Stefanski, Batonio, several other players, but nothing like this. Not when nearly a third of the roster is currently on the COVID-19 list.
Yeah, it's really terrible. You have to wonder, what the game plan would be on Saturday if this is it. But like we were talking about, we kind of expect a few more to pop up in the next couple of days. So, they are they're going to their plan that they used during the playoffs last year. For acting head coach and offensive coordinator and who's calling plays and whatnot. So, they're following that template that they used when they beat Pittsburgh. But I don't know if lightning is going to be able to strike twice. When you're missing such a big chunk of players. They weren't missing a big chunk of players in that game. Obviously not having your head coach is a big deal. But They were not decimated like they were, like they are right now. So it's just kind of a wait and see what happens. If they're able to get a couple guys back, that would be nice. The betting line has shifted dramatically from the Browns being, I think it was a 7-point favorite, to being a 2.5-point underdog. So, that is a huge shift. And I know Oakland did, or see, I did it again. That's 2 podcasts in a row. I know Vegas got, completely decimated by the Chiefs on Sunday, and they're going to come in here and give it their best shot, especially after a loss like that. So they, if there is a game on Saturday, they are certainly going to have their work cut out for them with everybody that they're missing.
Yeah, the good thing out of all of this is with the coaching staff, at least before we get to the players, the coaching staff has felt this before. They've been in this situation before, and they have a plan, and they fully implemented it already. So Stefanski being out during the Pittsburgh game, we all were wondering who's going to be head coach, who's going to call plays. It's going to be the same situation this week, potentially, against Vegas. Mike Prefer, who's the special teams coordinator, taking over as head coach. Even though Stefanski's really still the head coach because they're doing everything virtually, so he's able to do that from the comfort of his home. He's still able to be, the leader of the organization. He just can't be on the sidelines Saturday. So Prefer's going to take that spot. And then Alex Van Pelt will be calling plays. But like I said, with Stefanski still being there, implementing the game plan and everything, I'm sure they're going to have at least the first couple drives probably carved out through Stefanski. But Van Pelt's going to get his opportunity again. And a lot of people, and even me, kind of thinking like, this could be, if he passes this test again, much like he did against Pittsburgh, Alex Van Pelt, could be in line to be the offensive coordinator going forward to kind of relinquish some of that pressure and load off of Kevin Stefanski.
Yeah, it's certainly possible. I know, he did such a good job last year. If he's able to do a good job again, there's certainly the possibility where he could be calling plays next year. There's also the opportunity too where maybe he gets head coaching looks. I know how widely regarded he is as an offensive mind, so there's that. This is another audition for him. To see how things are. And when your team is successful, and we kind of talked about this last offseason, when your team is successful, there's certainly the opportunity that coaches could be picked from your staff for other places. So, I think he's going to come in here with Keenum on Saturday and, give it everything they got. Whether it's throwing, passing, he's going to have to call a game of his life. If everybody that's missing right now is still missing on Saturday. So they're going to have to call one heck of a football game, and hopefully they have some success on offense, because we just mentioned the Raiders had a rough time against the Chiefs on Sunday. That defense gave up almost 50 points. So if the Browns can go in here and score some points with some of these reserves and a beat up offensive line and a backup quarterback, you have to really wonder what the future would be for Van Pelt.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, looking at this roster, Anthony, now, coming into Wednesday morning, I still was a little optimistic about Saturday's game because, and, everybody's like, well, we lost Wills and Teller. And my mindset is we had the best offensive line coach in the game in Bill Callahan. And hypothetically, I'm thinking Blake Hans is going to take over at left tackle for this week. And then you're looking at either probably Michael Dunn, and everybody remembers what Michael Dunn did against Pittsburgh. And I'm sure Callahan's going to have these guys ready, whatever the outcome is. If Wills and Teller can come back and they are asymptomatic and they're able to play potentially Saturday, that's a good thing. But Blake Hance has had experience at tackle this year. We saw what Dunn did in that playoff game against Pittsburgh, shutting down Cam Hayward. This is a tough Vegas defensive front. I felt like, and especially if Bryant and Njoku could come back, the offensive line and the run blocking is going to set up well, potentially for Nick Chubb and Dearness Johnson against a Raiders team that, while they have a strong defensive front that can get after the quarterback, they're 26 in the league against the run. So I felt like if they could, simplify the offensive line and get, the tight ends back that are solid run blockers, this could be a big game for Nick Chubb. So I was still optimistic. Now that there's more injuries or more COVID cases on the defense, we did lose Jarvis Landry, and now Case Keenum's coming in. Now I just wonder what the game plan is going to be and how it's going to be. But yeah, we're still 3 days out from this game, and there still could be more positive cases down the line.
Yeah, and you still have a very good quarterback on the other side, in Derek Carr. So it's not like they're going up against a team that doesn't have a good quarterback on the other side. So and they're good at times what they do offensively. He's the main reason in that. So not having John Johnson and a couple others back there. And the frustrating part too is when it attacks the depth on your roster as well. Those starters, typical starters, have to play the full game and they're more tired. They're playing on a short week. Granted, it's only by 1 day, but they had a really tough game on out there on Sunday. With being out there a lot in the second half and giving up a lot of points to the Ravens' backup quarterback. So you have a defense that's potentially exhausted, missing a couple guys, and you're going to have to ask your starters to play even more. So you have to really wonder about the natural fatigue of these guys and if they're able to hold up. I know they won't be chasing Derek Carr all around the field because that's just not his style, but they can certainly do some things to this defense, I think, that will really test the conditioning, because they had to work it out for them on Sunday, and being on a short week and depleted, I think is just going to exacerbate the problem come Saturday.
Yeah, this defense right now, looking at the injury report and the COVID list, could be without Ronnie Harrison, Malik Jackson, Greg Newsome, not to mention Troy Hill, John Johnson III, Malik McDowell, Takk McKinley, Afadio Denigbo, and Anthony Walker. Now, my thinking is Walker could be back, and that could help, but you're still without your 2 backup pass rushers, 1 of your defensive tackles, your potentially 2 out of your top 4 corners, and 2 out of your top 3 safeties. So this is not looking good right now. And we can look to the practice squad right now and think, Curtis Weaver or Porter Gustin or Joe Jackson could come up and help with the pass rushers. Javonte Moffett, who has experience in this defense, could come up and play safety. I'm anxious to see who the practice squad call-ups are going to be. I think they get a couple more because of the COVID situation. So theoretically, the majority of this practice squad could be up Saturday playing in this game. So it's just going to be interesting. The defense, we are missing some key starters due to injury, and now we've lost a handful of them now with COVID, and we could lose more. So, it's just, I am really fascinated to see how they're going to put this together. I trust our coaching staff to have these guys ready, but we are depleted in ways we haven't seen this team in a long time, Anthony. And I'm not as optimistic now as I was Wednesday morning, because obviously a lot more has come in terms of news, and it's not good news, and we still got 3 more days, so who knows what's going to happen after today.
Yeah, we were really optimistic after the game on Sunday, and that's quickly dwindled down to almost nothing in the last couple of days. So it's really unfortunate, but if they do play on Saturday, like I said, they're gonna have the work cut out for them, and if they somehow are able to pull out a win, there's still a very good. If they could pull out a win, there's a chance that they would be in first place come the end of the weekend, which I think would be absolutely incredible with everything that's gone on this week so far.
Yeah, the only optimism I have left is on the offensive side of the ball, because I trust Case Keenum to come in this situation. He's a pro's pro. He's always ready for this. We still have Nick Chubb, who I expect he's going to bounce back and have a strong game against Vegas. I think these two games against Baltimore, where Baltimore shut him out and limited him, I think that's motivating him, and I expect Chubb to have a good game. And even though Landry's out, we still have Donovan Peoples-Jones. We still have Rashard Higgins, who, whatever's going on, this is his time to step up and perform again. And we need him badly right now because Landry's out and because Austin Hooper's out. Like, if Higgins and Mayfield can find that magic one more time, we need it Saturday more than ever. And then with Njoku being back and potentially Harrison Bryant back, and still having Joel Bitonio out there and J.C. Treader, like, I don't know. I expect the offense to step up in a big way because they're going to need it under these circumstances. And it's as good as time as any. It's mid-December. We're in the middle of a potential playoff run. Like, if the offense needed to step up and carry the load, Saturday's as good as time as any.
Yeah, they're going to have to. And, this. You just gave Nick Chubb a lot of money, and this is where you hope he can go out there and really, win you a game. I know it's going to be tough missing some of the offensive line. So, you just if I'm my game plan going into Saturday, if it's how things stand, is really focusing getting Njoku the ball, as long as he's back. That would be my game plan. And then sprinkle in the run after that. Whether it be tight end screens, I think those would be a big benefit because you got to do something, I think, to take off the pressure with, some of your offensive line missing. If you could start to spread the ball out a little bit early on, I think that'll really help Nick Chubb. So, they're going to have to find ways to be able to run on Saturday. So I would expect them to, at least in the beginning, to throw to try to open things up a little bit. So they have to do their best to put Keenum in a comfortable position. They have to do their best to put this offensive line that's depleted into a good position. So I could see them doing a variety of different things to be able to do that on Saturday.
Yeah, and the weather's going to play an extreme factor, which is why I'm also I'm still kind of optimistic, because they're calling for 45 degrees and a 90% chance of rain and some snow mixed in too. So I would tend to think that benefits the Browns because Vegas obviously plays in a dome. They're not used to this kind of weather. Some guys are. I think it was last year, I think the weather conditions were crappy during the Raiders game. It did benefit the Raiders. They were able to run the ball and just kill the Browns inside. Josh Jacobs, I think, ran up the middle like 25 times and just gashed us. Now, hopefully that doesn't play a factor this time in favor of them. So I would think the weather being a factor, late December, the edge goes to the Browns in that department. But, we'll see how it shakes out.
Yeah, and like I said, you hope you can win this one, and not lose any ground, because I really believe that the Packers are going to beat the Ravens on Sunday. So if you lose, I still think you're not going to lose any ground in the division based on what I think is going to happen in that game. But if you could somehow win, they could be in first come Sunday night, and that would be quite an incredible feat based on everything that's going on.
For sure. If we weather this storm, find a way to win, which I think that's just going to be the motto the rest of the week. Find a way to win. And then what happens with
the rest of the season, find a way to win.
Well, absolutely. But this week more than ever, if they can weather this giant storm they're going through right now, find a way to win Saturday, and then Green Bay beats Baltimore. The Browns come out of this heading into Green Bay, which is going to be a major game too. In first place in the AFC North would be an incredible feat.
Yeah, it would. That would be a great position to be heading into those last few weeks of the regular season, and the schedule after that. You got Pittsburgh on Monday night, and then Cincinnati to close it out. So after that Green Bay game, so you hope that maybe after this week you could be sitting first, and things could be looking very good for you, division wise and playoff race wise as well. The added thing to this game on Saturday is the Ravens or the Raiders are only a game behind the Browns record wise, so it's almost like 2 wins for the Raiders if they win, because they'll have the tiebreaker over the Browns. So you really want to have this game on Saturday for just playoff implications.
That is correct. So this is a big game for both sides, so it's going to be interesting to see how it all shakes out. To our listeners, hopefully we don't have to come back this week with another episode talking about COVID cases, but if more news comes out, me and Anthony will hop on and discuss it. If not, we will talk to y'all after the game Saturday. So hopefully the Browns find a way to win, and we'll be here to break it down, win or loss. So with that, you guys can follow Anthony on Twitter at Anthony Jokey. You can follow me on Twitter at Jack McCurry08, and check out the Dogland at the Dogland on Twitter as well as Facebook. So until next time, go Browns.